talking about Canada. During the term, Mr. Rogers brought in a letter that was signed in the bottom on the beach. It had come all the way from Newfoundland. Emily will tell you about it.
One day a man was walking on past Sands Beach when he found a Coca-Cola bottle with a screw top. He thought it was a bit unusual because we don't have screw tops. We have tops that are hard to get off. He saw a note inside, so he opened it and it was from Canada and Newfoundland, from a little girl called Tanya at Clark. She was 8 when she sent it, but it took her 2 years to come to England. Now she's 10. Class 4 sent letters to Tanya to give to her school, but when they got there, her school was on their summer vacation. Class 3 won't send their letters till September.
There is room to breathe in Canada, with 9.8 million square kilometres, 3.8 million square miles. It is the second largest country in the world, larger than the US or Europe. 7 of the world's 24 time zones across 6 different regions. Only 1/3 of the country has been developed, and most of the small population of 22 million live within 100 miles of the US border. Canada has 10 provinces and 2 territories, which are
Northwest Territory, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario,
Quebec, Newfoundland,
Prince Edward Island, Scotia, Quebec, logs would go round them. They are then pulled down the river by boats, or they can be loaded onto a special boat that goes down the river and tips 45 degrees sideways, and all the logs fall off into the water by the sawmill. A machine will then come and pick them out of the water and put them into piles ready to be cut. If a forest fire starts, every person drops his chainsaw, leaves his machine and runs to the fire. There are special planes to drop water bombs on the fire. As soon as the fire was out, everyone went back to work. Wildlife in Canada, animal, birds and fish, have adapted themselves to mountains, rivers, lakes and prairies of Canada.
This bear is called a grizzly bear. Grizzly bears have good hearing, good eyesight, and have brilliant sense of smell. They always have to be cut so that the food does not run out. People are afraid of grizzlies because they break down doors. Why do you think they do this? They do it because they can smell food inside. In summer, grizzlies eat berries, pumpkins, seeds, roots and salmon. Grizzlies hibernate in winter. They find good cave or hole with large leaves and branches. They eat a lot and get quite fat because they go to sleep so that they will stay alive in winter. How long do you think grizzly bears live? They actually live 30 years or more because they are bigger and stronger than any of their enemies.
Beavers. These animals live on roots of water plants, and they have a clever way of making sure of a good supply all through the year. Beavers fly down trees by gnawing through them with their sharp teeth. Then they cut the trees into short lengths and drag the logs to a river. They use the logs to build a dam in the river to form a wide pond in which water plants can easily grow. Alongside the pond, a beaver lodge, and they live in this quite comfortably all through the year. Their food supply on the doorstep. Beavers are very clever. Buffalo. Millions of these powerful animals like a strange in a vast herd across the prairies of Canada and the United States. They were well adapted to prairies, except for one thing. Buffalo are stupid creatures. They would stand still and graze without concern about buffalo in the herd fell dead in agony from the bullets of Indians and European hunters. Only a few now survive, protected by law in Canada's national parks. If you were a raccoon looking for a hiding place for your den, what would you choose? Some raccoons make their dens in chimneys. They can peek outside to see what's going on or just curl up together inside. Some people put wide lids on chimneys to keep raccoons out. When a raccoon goes looking for food, it may stop to take a snooze. A tree branch or a hole under rocks is a good place for a nap. Raccoons have special ways of climbing down trees. Sometimes they turn their feet almost backwards and climb down head first.
Wolves. Wolves hunt in packs. When they are short of food in winter, packs of wolves have been known to attack humans, and for this reason they have been hunted wherever they have lived, and very few are left in Canada.
The rivers of British Columbia are famous for salmon. These big powerful fish live their lives actually in order to lay their eggs. However, they swim went outside and touched the race, and it turned to gold. Then he touched all of the flowers and watched them turn to gold too. He went into the house to have his breakfast. When he touched it, it turned to gold too. Then his daughter came in and cried, "What's wrong with the roses?" Then she cried even more, and the king went to touch her. Of course, she turned to gold. Then Apollo came and took the gift back the next night. Everything turned back, but then he had donkey's ears. One night the king's hairdresser found out, and he couldn't keep it to himself any longer, so he dug a hole and said, "The king has got donkey's ears," but the wind blew and everyone found out. When the king found out that everybody knew, he forgave him, and the next night Apollo came and took the ears away, and then he lived happily ever after.
Some children found their way to the recordery and learned a song about Indians.
The only Indians to live in the settled village were called the Iroquois. They lived beside lakes and rivers in part of Canada, now we call Ontario. Several families of longhouses lived together in a longhouse. Several families of Iroquois lived together in a longhouse. The roof and sides of the longhouse were made of strips of bark cut off from large trees. The Iroquois had to clear the forest in order to plant crops. They felled trees by cutting it into them with their flint axes, and then bringing them with fire. They set fire to the earth all round.
When the land was cleared, the crops and maize, melons, sunflowers and tobacco were grown, until after 10 years the soil became exhausted, and the Indians had to move the village to a new site. The women of the village did most of the work, while men caught fish or went hunting. The Iroquois Indians played games they called lacrosse. The lacrosse was brought back to Europe by early travellers and still played today.
North of the Iroquois, there lived Indians who did not know how to grow crops. The land where they lived was very cold in winter, and the summer was short. It was a land of forests, moorland, rivers and lakes. These Indians hunted animals for food and clothing. The herds in the forest were continually on the move, wandering northward in the spring to raise their young, and moving southward in winter to escape the extreme Arctic cold. The Indians moved with them and became very skilled hunters. Yes, they were. time for the children to eat their to eat all